So there's only one objective for this particular session, wherein a person who has attended this should be able to introduce and describe Kali Linux for self and for others. So as you might be aware that there is a root distribution of Linux called Debian. So Kali Linux is actually derived from there, and it is one of the members of Unix OS family. It is maintained and funded by Offensive Security Limited, and majorly the digital forensic activities and penetration testing activities were the ones which actually were the reasons that people designed it. Now, it was developed by Mati Aharoni and Devon Kearns. They are like Mati Aharoni is the CEO of Offensive Security. And earlier, this operating system was named as Backtrack. And then in year 2000, approximately at around 2013, it was named as Kali Linux. So here is some of the history regarding this operating system. So you can see that the project was first WAPEX, and then it was reforked into VAX. Then VAX was rebranded, and it was streamlined into an operating system named Backtrack, which was just the predecessor of Kali Linux. So if you see that back in 2011, it was being used by more than 4 million amateur and professional security researcher. So it's been almost 7 years, and it's been widely used by many of the hackers around the world. So the latest version of the last version of the Backtrack was Backtrack 5, and it was built on Ubuntu Lucid. It contained around 350 penetration testing tools. Now, in year 2013, this particular distro was decommissioned, and then it was replaced by Kali Linux. So if you see in its ecosphere, there are around 300 tools, and probably more than that. And it has a clean file system hierarchy standard, and it often works with wireless support. The main attraction, people say, is that it can be installed on ARM devices. I hope you are aware of ARM devices. So all these mobiles and IoT devices, like, or the small microprocessors like Raspberry Pi. So you can create you can take the ISO files, and then you can flash those devices with these ISO files of Kali Linux. So this is some more details about Kali, that it's open source, and it is a monolithic type of kernel, wherein the whole operating system actually runs in kernel space. So as you might be aware that there are usually two spaces in which the operating system works. One is called user space and one is called kernel space. So this is a monolithic type of an operating system which completely runs into kernel space. And it has both like 32-bit and 64-bit images. So, and it is built on x86 instruction sets. So as I've already mentioned, that you can actually install it on devices such as Raspberry Pi and the ARM books, Samsung's ARM books. So it supports like multiple languages, like you can use host of languages in this. And it is completely customizable. I think all Linux distributions are completely customizable because they are open source and you can build them from scratch. And the team of Kali always says that it is free, was free, and it will always be free. And the community is quite vibrant, and they release the builds on a weekly basis. All the nightly releases are there in the week on the tags. If you see the and go the packages and repositories, if you see on GitHub, you'd probably find that. You can subscribe to their alerts, and you can find it. So that was about history and a little bit about the features of Kali Linux. Now let us discuss what is penetration testing. So Kali Linux was actually meant for or created for penetration testing as well as the digital forensics. Formally, if you want to describe penetration testing, it means that you evaluate systems and applications and protocols. Then you do it with an intent of identifying the vulnerabilities. But you need to have some kind of a perspective while doing that. Okay, the perspective of a user while identifying these vulnerabilities should be of an unprivileged or an anonymous user, so that you can find out the real world potential impacts. So, or in other words, you would say, as I mentioned earlier in the previous session, that there is a difference between bad guys and good guys, and you use same set of tools as the bad guys use, and try to find these vulnerabilities before they can do some kind of a harm to the system that you are trying to improve. The next slide we have is on flexibility. That it is you can actually install Kali on a USB and run it completely live in a live mode, and you can install it on ARM device, or you can install it on a virtual machine using a hypervisor like VMware or VirtualBox, or you can install it on bare metal, the way you install Windows on the normal laptop or a desktop. You can actually install it on Android devices as well. These are some of the usual popular programs that are bundled into Kali. So a port scanner is there, which is called Nmap, which is again an open source project. Then you have a packet analyzer called Wireshark, and you have a password cracking tool, which is John the Ripper. And then if you are testing the security of a wireless LAN, and you need to capture packet and interpret them to find out passwords or weak security protocols, you can use aircrack ng. So here let me take you to the desktop and how actually the desktop environment looks. So once you have an installation, and during the installation, if you have chosen to install it with the KDE, then you would get a desktop something similar to the one that is shown on screen. But if you are using so while installing, you get a choice of choosing the this desktop, which can be KDE or it can be Genome. So if you choose KDE, this kind of a desktop would be visible to you after you install. So on the left hand side corner, if you see, you would see the menu as usually it is there, and you might be familiar with the programs which are visible in Windows. Similarly, it has a list of programs, and they are organized into the tools such as for information gathering, for vulnerability analysis. In information gathering, you can see that There are sub parts for DNS analysis, IDS, IPS identification. You can query, or identify the live hosts by using tools such as fping, hping3. Okay, for DNS analysis, you can use DNS enum and DNS recon. Then for scanning the ports, you can use mass scan or nmap. For doing OSINT analysis, you can use harvester or multigo. Similarly, for every kind of an analysis which is required for information gathering, these tools have been quite beautifully organized in this kind of a menu. So for vulnerability analysis, you have VoIP tools and fuzzing tools. So here also you'll find nmap, because in the second phase of penetration testing, while you scan a particular host, you want to see that how it responds to the queries that are related to these vulnerabilities. While doing nmap scans also, you will get some limited information regarding the vulnerabilities on a host or a target. Then for web application analysis, you can find some popular CMS and framework identification tools like WP Scan. The most famous tool in the community, Burp Suite. The basic version is there, the unpaid version. Then you have tools like Dirtbuster for crawling, uh, you know, any website or any framework, like as to what kind of directories, how the files have been laid out on the target host. You can find that out using Derby or a Dirtbuster. Then you have vulnerability scanners like Nikto. Sorry, I clicked on it. Similarly, for database assessments, you have a skill map. For cracking the passwords, you have John the Ripper, OPH crack and crack. You have like word lists available for doing brute forcing. Then even to perform these operations offline, the tools have been organized into this menu. So you have hash ID and OPH crack CLI, the command line version of it. Then for doing wireless attacks, you have Kismet, Aircrack NG, Wi-Fi Lite. So for 802.11 wireless tools, you have Bully and Fern Wi-Fi Cracker. First, if you are there involved with the tasks of reverse engineering, you have NASM Shell and Radar 2. For exploitation tools such as Metasploit framework, the load MSF load creator, Searchploit are there. Even SET, like a social engineering toolkit, is also there, where you can. These are all frameworks, and they have set methodologies which can be used by the users, and most of the work is automated. Most of the steps are automated while doing penetration testing. Then you have tools for sniffing and spoofing. You can change the source MAC addresses or the IP addresses by using tools such as these, such as MITM proxy, MAC changer, Etacap. And if you want to capture the network packets and want to analyze them offline, you can use Wireshark. Then for doing post exploitation activities, you have tools like this, Mimicards. So once you have actually entered, into the host, and then you want to upload some kind of files, then you can use these kind of tools, which is like post exploitation activities. So if there are some forensic activities which are part of your exercise, then you can use tools like autopsy and bulk extractor. You can actually find the properties of the files. I mean, and these particular tools actually go on internet databases such as virus total and all, and they analyze uh, different attributes and metadata about a file, and let you know that particular file that is being sent to you is actually malicious, has some kind of a malicious or executable code or not. Then you have tools for reporting: Multigo, Qtcapt, Faraday. Then under social engineering tools, you have payload creators, that this I have already explained. So this was about the tools which are already available, and they are quite easily accessible in Kali. So there are some basic Linux commands that you should be aware of other than these tools, and I will use the terminal and I will let you know. For those who are not actually familiar with Linux, they need to actually see and understand that use of command line is quite important. And as I mentioned earlier also, that once you get these exploits and create a payload, and once you have an access to the system in the fourth phase of penetration testing, you will get access to a machine using a command line. And so you should be really friendly and quite comfortable by using for you with the command line interface. So if in Kali, if you see, if you click on Control Alt T, it actually opens a terminal. It looks like a black window. And in the recent version of Kali, they have started shipping a ZSH shell, and which you can actually find out by using this command. So echo $0 actually gives you the default shell which is available after you install. Actually, my operating system already had Kali, and I have updated an existing one. So because of that, the current and default shell is bash. So there are some more commands that you should be aware of. So first ones I would like to tell you that you should know how to find files in an operating system. And one way is to actually go and open the file explorer, and the normal way is that, as we do in Windows, we have a GUI. So we go in a particular folder and we see those files. Okay, but there is another way which you can adopt, and which is like using a command line. So as soon as you open a terminal, you can actually locate one particular file by its name using a locate command. Say I want to locate something which has lessons. So you can see that it will actually list down the full path wherever it found the this particular string, which is like an expression to this command. If locate command sometimes just after the installation doesn't work for you, then you can actually use update db command to update the database. And if it is not there, then this particular database will be created, and all of the files will be indexed in it for faster search. So if you are there in a, if you want to find out that in which particular directory you are, or what is the current path in which the terminal is open, then you can use a command such as pwd, which is present working directory. So as you can see that I am currently in home, and under that there is a directory called stupid skills. So if I want to list down files inside this directory, then I can use a command called ls, and with an option minus, like with an option L. So it will list down all the files which are there under the home directory. So the blue ones, if you see, they are the folders as you encounter in Windows, and the ones that are in white, are the files. Then on the left hand side, if you see, this is related to the permissions which are there on the folders. And for those who are actually not aware of the permissions, so you have like bits such as 4, 2, and 1, which need to be set for understanding the permission over a file. So 4 actually relates to read, 2 relates to write, and 1 relates to execute. So whenever you actually list some files and you need to check the permissions which are there, or you want to modify those permissions on the files, you need to understand that a combination of these bits over the files actually define the permissions on them. Okay, so you can see that here the D actually relates to the directory, and if it goes as dash, it means that it's a file. So first set of permission relates to the owner of the file or a folder. So you can see that the owner has a read, write, and execute access on this particular folder. The group to which the owner belongs has only read and execute permission on that particular folder. And for other kind users, it has read and execute permission on this particular folder. So let's say then there is one more command called find that you can use to search for files and folders with their names. So let's say if I want to find in this particular directory all files, so I can say find dot and it will start listing all the files. But let's say there's the number is very huge and I want to like filter only the results which are relevant to me. Then I can say find dot and I can pipe it to the second command by using pipe and then say grep and I say lessons. So all of the folders and files which have lessons as a string in their name, they will be filtered out as an output. So I hope you understand that how you can pipe two commands together by passing the input of output of one command to as the input of another command. Okay, so there's another command called cd, which is used to actually change into a particular directory. Then inside a directory, let's say you want to create another folder, then you can use a command called make dir. Say I will make a folder called test, and then once you make it, you can see by using the ls command, you can see that this particular folder is created. So let's say I again go into using the command cd, I go into test folder, and then I want to create a file with the name file1. So for creating files, you can use a command called touch file1. If you create a file will be created, and let's say if you want to execute it with another command, then you use double ampersand and let's write something into that command. I mean, write something into that file. Kelly by stupid skills. So what this particular single line would do is first it would create a file, then it will write by using the command called echo. So it will write these particular these words, into this particular new file. So as you can see that this greater than symbol actually is a redirection symbol, wherein an output of one command can be redirected to a file using this. So sometimes if you want to append some kind of a string inside an existing file, then you can use double greater than symbol. Okay. And if you want to, so as soon as this command is over, the content would be written into file one. First, the file would have been created and the content is there inside the file. And if you want to read the contents, you can use cat command. Then there is one important command that you should be aware of is move, mv. Say you want to rename a particular file or a folder, then you can use move command. The move would actually rename it from file 1 to file 2. And then there is a file command called copy. For copying a file, you can use cp, copy file 2 to file 1. And then if you list them, then you will have two files. So these are generic basic commands on the Linux bash terminal that you need to know. So you should be able to change into directories. You should be able to move around by changing directories, by listing files, by renaming them. If you want to create a file and you want to write something, so these are some basic commands that you should be aware of while using the terminal. Then about the system, you can use a command like free, which actually tells you what is the memory, what is allocated as a total memory, what is memory which is used, how much space is free, what is shared, what is available, and out of the swap, how much is being used. Okay. Then there is an important command called system control. Say there is a service inside a system that is running or not running. You want to find out the status of it. Say my operating system has a database server called MySQL. I want to know whether it is running or not running. Then you can use this command. Okay, and there's one important word that I did not tell you about, and which is about the privilege level of a user. So there's a word called sudo that you need to use before some commands, because you do not have permission to actually query or to see the output of those commands. So let's say systemctl status. If I want to see whether this particular service is running or not running, okay, so I can use this command. So it says that it is not running. Then let's say I want to start it, then I can say systemctl start, and I give the name of the service. So you see that this particular user which is there on this operating system does not have the rights. So that is why it is asked, operating system is throwing a pop-up for the user to give the password. Okay, but if I would have used a sudo command, let's say, let me click cancel, and if I use the word sudo in front of it, then it would actually ask for the password right on the terminal. Let's say I give the password and there is no error thrown, then that particular service would have started. So now you can see that you can query the status of a running service by using systemctl and the subcommand status. And then you can actually stop a service by using sudo systemctl stop MySQL service. So this is how you actually see whether a particular service is running in operating system or not. And if you want to restart it or start it, there are various other flags. And if you want to know details of any command. Say I want to know that about the whether the documentation is available or not for this command. So I use a command called man. So you say man and you give that command name. So it will give you the documentation which you can read, and it will tell you about all the options which are available in it. Okay. Similarly, for working with MySQL, you can man MySQL and then other particular shells, the help commands are actually given. There's also one flag called double dash help, which you can use if you want to know more about a particular command and what options can be used with it. So let's say I want to see help of a locate command and all the switches which are available for it, and what are their what it does not show any examples, but to have a look at the examples, you can actually go and look at the more detailed documentation which is given by the man command. So man given before that particular command. So to know about the devices which are there, you can use LSPCI. So you can see it gives you information on the processor, the graphic card, okay, the other PCI bridges, memory devices, audio devices. You can find with this command, LSPCI. Then let's say if there is something which is not available as a command or as a utility, so what you would do, you will have to probably install it. So you use actually the package manager called apt, and use the sudo word before it. And first you can search for it whether that is there or not. So there is one more important command that I wanted to highlight, which is listing the hardware which is not available on this system. So what I would do is, like, I would first search whether it is available with my package manager or not. So I can see that yes, it is there, and the version is also highlighted. And then once I search and find out whether so there is a GTK version also for that, a graphical version. But let's say I want to install the command line version, so I can use our command called sudo apt install, and I can put the name of the utility that I want to install. So what it does is, it using the internet, it connects to the repository on which these particular utilities are being served, and then this particular utility will be installed. So it automatically selects the most probable nearest mirror which is available for the operating system, and then it can be used to install those commands. Like 85% or 90% is complete. So it's best to go to the official page, the downloads page, which is given by Offensive Security. So the website is kali.org, and in that you can actually go and click downloads. So you will see that there are different images. You have like 64-bit images, the live versions, and the installers, and then you have similar for 32-bit versions. So you can find out the versions, that bit, the architecture which is there on the operating system you want to install it. Okay. Then you have like a VMware. So you can see that it has a separate download page. So they have given you the virtual images which can directly be opened with VMware players. Then on that same page you have like OVA files for VirtualBox also. So you can download these. The most important thing that you need to take care is that you should be able to validate these checksums which are given. So there are separate steps to do that. Once you download an ISO image, you need to go and verify those using these commands. Like you need to have wget, and then you need to have gpg utility. You should be able to receive these keys, verify their fingerprints, and use this particular command. The most important aspect of it is that you should get this particular line, that it is a good signature from Linux repository. So only after you verify the sums or the checksums, only then you should actually proceed with the installation. Otherwise, you should basically re-download it. So I hope this answers like how to go and download the ISO image, and then go ahead. If it is a hypervisor specific image, such as a VMware or VirtualBox, then you can use that. Okay, so for having VMware or VirtualBox, it is better that you have more than 30 GB of free space on your hard disk, and also more than at least minimum 8 GB of RAM should be there, so that two operating systems can exist in a on a machine. So it should be more than 8 GB, equal to or more than 8 GB RAM. Okay, and a free disk of at least 30 GB. Otherwise, it is recommended that you should have at least 60 GB allocated. But if you are directly opening the VMware image from this particular official website, then it would actually will not be a problem, because those settings in the over file or on the VMware files are automatically specified. Those settings are automatically specified, and they actually take the whole space of the hard disk. So that shouldn't be a problem. Minimum only two specific requirements should be fulfilled, of hard disk and RAM. So you can go to nmap or website, and so just search in Google to how to convert RPM packages into Debian packages, and then you can install that. Yeah, you have only RPM packages, right? So you can actually convert them. There is one particular utility which comes. uh, I'll just search it on Google, and so that it is recorded in this class. Convert RPM into Debian yeah, the alien package in there in Ubuntu. You can search for it using sudo apt search for alien. Yeah, it's there. So you need to install it, and then you can use a particular command which is given there on the website to convert that RPM package into Debian, and then you will be able to install ZenMap. It works, like I've used it, so not a problem. So there is a command called jobs, which is quite important. Let's say uh, I'm just using ping. Let me ping myself. Okay, let's say I start this command as a background process, and it's running. Okay, see, you can see, right? It's running, and I'm not able to stop it because it is running in the background. So at that time, if I want to, see that which all commands are running in the background. Okay, I think it isn't. Okay, let me give another example. So you can see that, let's say I was working on something, and that particular command went into the background. So, but I don't know what was it. So you can use the jobs command to see that there is a background process which is running, and you can use FG to bring it in the foreground, and then probably work on it to close it. So while using tools like Metasploit and all, probably you would have to use this command to know that if there are some sessions which are running in the background. You should be aware that yes, there are some processes which can actually go into the background, and to bring it in, bring them into foreground, you can use one or the other commands which are either available in the framework, or you can access them using the FG command. Then if you want to know the disk spaces, like what is the devices and how much space has been used, or what, how many the KBs are available in it, and if you want them into more human readable format, then you can use -H with it. So it will show you, the human readable format on availability and used space on a one particular device. So you can see that a swap or a bootable device is different on this particular PC, and the usual root is mounted at this particular device. So SDA is pointing to one particular hard disk on this particular system. Then sometimes you would find the use of user firewall command. So you should either, I think you will have to probably install it. So you can see that the user firewall is active on this particular system, and there are other various, you can enable and disable, you can allow, you can use allow to create a rule, or deny a particular traffic from a particular IP, on a particular port. So you should be aware of these sub commands which are there as part of UFW. And then if someone wants to, you should be aware of this if config, to know about the network interfaces which are there on this particular system. As you can see, there is a wireless LAN interface, and then there is a VPN interface which is running there. These are the IPs and the masks and the broadcast addresses. You should know how to read these, probably a little bit on subnetting. So these are some basic things that you should be aware of. So we have already explained how to install Kali, and the page you need to go to and choose a particular distribution which is apt for your use case. So sometimes you might have to use update. Say if you want to basically resync with the live or the mirror repository which is there, so you will use the update command, and then probably an upgrade for this particular operating system version to be updated to the next version. You can use an upgrade command. I think this finishes off with, this particular screen finishes off with the concepts on basic Linux commands. Okay, so here is a slide on small comparison between Ubuntu and Kali. So you can see that Ubuntu is used for general use, and Kali is used for specialized use, like for penetration testing and digital forensics. And it was developed by Offensive Security Limited. However, Ubuntu was developed by Canonical, and it was released way before than Kali Linux. So it was there, along with the Knopex and the family tree that I would have actually shown you. Then there are some certifications that are related to, being an expert into this field. So offensive security gives you these kind of certifications, and you can basically they give you a set of IPs, and then those are you need to discover and own those particular IPs or boxes to actually get certified. And it is a session which is conducted over a day, maybe 24 to 26 hours, or and over some number of days also sometimes. So you need to go through that particular training, and after the training you get limited number of hours to actually own the machines after these set of IPs are given to you. So some certifications, such as you can become a security certified professional, or you can take specialization in wireless security. Basically you can be an expert in exploitation or web. So it's like mobile or web or applications. So this is a developer's point of view, which was shared by Mati Aharoni, who is the creator of Kali Linux. And he says that before an attacker can actually see and exploit the weaknesses or vulnerabilities in your system, it is best that you use the same set of tools to actually understand those and patch them and cover them up before they can be used for any malicious purpose. So if you want to know more about Kali, the Offensive Security has also given a very detailed book. It's in a PDF format, and the people who like to read more, they can actually go on this URL, and it is a 341 pages book which you can read, which has more on Debian, a bit of history, then how you can get started, how you can work with the live mode, some of the fundamentals that I have already given are just from these. Then a section on installing, configuring, then how you can actually arrange help if you get stuck somewhere, what all communities you can be part of, and how you can secure and monitor the Linux itself. Then all about package management, and some section on advanced usage of it. You can actually recompile the kernel itself. You can build your own custom images. Okay, then if you are using Kali for enterprise use, maybe you want to boot some machines over a network, then you can look at this section. And if you want to contribute and extend Kali itself by creating some additional packages, then you can have a look at this section. Then some basic steps on security assessments that are there, and they have given a section on that also. Some one on types of attacks. So that is it from my side.